Boat carrying nearly 100 undocumented migrants capsizes. Possible explosive powder found in Jakarta Mosque blast. Salam Malaysia Madani, this is World Today. I'm Sahih. The headlines in a moment, but first, the state visit of His Majesty Sultan Ibrahim, King of Malaysia, to Bahrain, which ended yesterday, marks a new chapter in the close friendship that has long existed between both countries. Sultan Ibrahim departed for home Saturday night after concluding a 3-day state visit. At the airport, to bid farewell to Sultan Ibrahim was Crown Prince Salman Hamad Al Khalifa, who is also the Prime Minister of Bahrain. The state visit to Bahrain, which began on Thursday, is the 6th state visit undertaken by Sultan Ibrahim, following visits to Singapore, China, Brunei, Russia and Saudi Arabia. It marks a significant milestone in the history of diplomatic relations between Malaysia and the Kingdom, as it is the first such visit since 1974. During the 3-day visit, Sultan Ibrahim was accorded a state welcoming ceremony at the Sahih Palace. The king also visited the Martyrs Memorial Monument, a site of great significance in Bahrain's history, and the Ministry of Interior Police Fort, with both programs specially arranged by King Ahmad for a head of state for the first time. Bahrain remains one of Malaysia's key trading partners in the West Asia region and is Malaysia's 9th largest trading partner, 11th largest export destination and 8th largest import source among West Asian countries. A boat believed to be carrying nearly 100 undocumented migrants of various nationalities capsized near Malaysia-Thailand maritime border, with 6 survivors found in Langkawi waters. Authorities said the 6 rescued individuals included 3 Myanmar men, 2 Rohingya men and 1 Bangladeshi man, while the body of a Rohingya woman was also found drifting at sea. Police were alerted to the incident when a call was made from the public reporting 3 men drifting near Teluk Aiwa, Langkawi. They were rescued and handed over to the police. In the afternoon, 3 more men and the body of a woman were found in the same area. Preliminary investigations found that about a month ago, the migrants boarded a large vessel carrying 300 people to enter Malaysia. However, as they neared the border, they were instructed to transfer onto 3 smaller boats, each carrying an estimated 100 people to avoid detection by the authorities. However, 3 days ago, the boat they were on capsized, and the incident is believed to have occurred in Thai waters before they drifted into Malaysian waters. Indonesian police found possible explosive powder as they investigated explosion at a mosque in the capital Jakarta, as the suspected perpetrator is recovering, according to the police chief on Saturday. Explosion that injured dozens of people during Friday prayers could have been an attack, officials said, with a 17-year-old student they suspected the perpetrator. Police Chief Litsio Sigit Prabowo, after visiting the victims at the hospital, said several pieces of sporting evidence were found. The suspect and another victim underwent surgery, while several of the 54 injured, mostly students, had been discharged.
Ditemukan beberapa bukti pendukung yang tentunya ini sedang kita kumpulkan. Ada tulisan, kemudian ada barang bukti serbuk yang diperkirakan bisa menimbulkan potensi terjadinya ledakan. Catatan-catatan lain kita kumpulkan, termasuk juga kita melakukan pemeriksaan terhadap media sosial, lingkungan keluarga, untuk mengumpulkan semuanya. Nanti secara khusus setelah lengkap tentunya akan dirilis secara resmi.
Police are also looking into reports that the suspect had been bullied by classmates. Friday prayers at a school mosque located inside an Indonesian Navy housing complex were thrown into chaos by the blast, which sent smoke through the hall and worshippers fleeing. Peace talks between Afghanistan and Pakistan ended in a stalemate, with Afghanistan's Taliban government blaming the impasse on Islamabad's irresponsible and uncooperative approach. Representatives of the two neighbouring countries met in Turkey in a bid to secure a truce they had agreed to on 19 October after border clashes resulted in casualties on both sides. However, Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid laid the blame with Pakistan. Zabihullah stressed during the discussion the Pakistani side attempted to shift all responsibility for its security to the Afghan government while showing no willingness to take responsibility for either Afghanistan's security or its own. But despite the talks failing, the spokesman said the ceasefire will hold. Mujahid said there is no issue with the ceasefire as he thanked Qatar and Turkey for their mediation roles. According to the United Nations, during fighting that started in early October, 50 civilians were killed and 447 wounded on the Afghan side of the border, while explosion in Kabul killed at least 5 people. The Pakistani army said 23 of its soldiers were killed in attacks by the Taliban and 29 others wounded, but has not mentioned civilian casualties. Russia launched a barrage of drones and missiles in overnight attacks on Ukraine, targeting substations that supply 2 nuclear power plants and killing 7 people. Ukrainian officials said on Saturday that these attacks were not accidental but well-planned strikes as Russia is deliberately endangering nuclear safety in Europe. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia had launched more than 450 drones and 45 missiles. 3 people were killed and 12 were wounded in the city of Dnipro when a drone hit an apartment building. Regional officials said there were also killed in the southeastern Zaporizhzhia region and one in Kharkiv region farther north. Energy facilities in the Kiev, Poltava and Kharkiv regions were damaged, leaving thousands of people without power and water. Officials in Poltava said power generators were used to provide water. Russia's defense ministry said earlier on Saturday that it had launched a massive strike with high-precision, long-range air, ground and sea-based weapons on weapon production and gas and energy facilities in response to Kiev's strikes on Russia. The International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant for Philippine Senator Ronald De La Rosa, who oversaw then-President Rodrigo Duterte's war on drugs, the nation's ombudsman said on Saturday, although the ICC denied the assertion. Duterte, in office from 2016 to 2022, was arrested and taken to The Hague in March on a warrant linking him to murders committed during his war on drugs, in which thousands of alleged narcotics peddlers and users were killed. Ombudsman Jesus Crispin Remula said the information about De La Rosa's warrant had been relayed to him by the officer in charge of the Department of Justice. Remula, who served as Justice Secretary before becoming Ombudsman in October, added that the ICC should formally request extradition. Asked for comment, DOJ spokesman Paulo Martinez said the ministry was still verifying the information. De La Rosa and Duterte, who is in detention at The Hague, have petitioned the Philippine Supreme Court to compel the government to stop cooperating with the ICC. Duterte and his lawyers also maintain his arrest was unlawful. Last month, Duterte appealed the ICC's decision to continue its case against him and sought his release. Rodrigo Paz has been sworn in as Bolivia's president, ushering in a new era for the South American nation after nearly 20 years of governance by the Movement for Socialism MAS party. Paz, the 58-year-old son of former president and pro-business conservative, drew applause at the swearing-in ceremony on Saturday at the Bolivian seat of Congress. In his inauguration speech, Paz later said Bolivia would now be open to the world after 2 decades of left-wing governance. The Movement Towards Socialism party, founded by charismatic former president Evo Morales, had its heyday during the commodities boom of the early 2000s, but natural gas exports have sputtered and its static economic model of generous subsidies and a fixed exchange rate has collapsed. PAS will have to address Bolivia's worst economic crisis in 40 years, with year-on-year inflation at more than 20% and a chronic shortage of fuel and dollars. The outgoing government of Luis Arce exhausted almost all of Bolivia's hard currency reserve to prop up a policy of petrol and diesel subsidies. On the campaign trail, PAS promised a capitalism for all approach to economic reform with decentralization, lower taxes and fiscal discipline mixed with continued social spending.
Guna mentol jimat tenaga untuk lebih jimat.
Coming up next, Philippines evacuates thousands as storms nears. The Philippines evacuated over 100,000 residents across its eastern and northern regions as Fung Wong reached super typhoon status on Sunday ahead of its expected arrival, threatening to unleash torrential rains, destructive winds and storm surges. Catanduanes, a small island in the State Weather Service said could take a direct hit, was already being lashed by wind and rain in the early morning, with storm surges sending waves hurtling over streets along the coast. Packing sustained winds of 185 km per hour and gusts of up to 230 km per hour, Super Typhoon Fung Wong, locally known as U1, is forecast to make landfall in Aurora province in central Luzon on Sunday night at the earliest. Parts of eastern Visayas were already experiencing power outages. Storm alert signals have been issued across large parts of the Philippines, with signal number 5, the highest warning, raised over southeastern Luzon, including Catanduanes and coastal areas of Camarines North and Camarines Sur, while Metro Manila and surrounding areas are under signal number 3. More than 300 domestic and international flights have been cancelled, according to civil aviation regulator. The death toll from a tornado that struck Brazil's southern state of Paraná on Friday night rose to 6, with around 750 people injured and at least one person missing, authorities said Saturday. Several homes and buildings were destroyed in the town of Rio Bonita do Iguacu, which rescue teams described as resembling a war zone, local media reported, adding that about 80% of the town, home to some 14,000 people, was devastated. Paraná Governor Carlos Massa Ratinho Jr. declared a state of public calamity to speed up the release of emergency funds for relief and rebuilding efforts, according to authorities in a news release. The state government also declared a 3-day of official mourning. Brazilian President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva expressed solidarity with the victims on X and announced the deployment of disaster response team, reconstruction personnel and emergency health services to the affected areas. About 1,000 people were displaced, with temporary shelters set up in nearby Laranjeiras do Sul. The tornado was preliminarily classified as an F2, with winds between approximately 180 and 250 km per hour, according to Paraná's Environmental Technology and Monitoring System. Last year, southern Brazil suffered severe flooding that left more than 200 people dead and 2 million displaced in the state of Rio Grande do Sul. Toxic smog shrouded Pakistan's second biggest city, Lahore, on Saturday, with air quality reaching hazardous levels, data from the Swiss monitoring group IQ Air showed. The city was ranked the second most polluted city in the world after the Indian capital, Delhi. Authorities were checking smoke-emitting vehicles following a court order to try and reduce the pollution level. Lahore recorded an air quality index, AQI, of 336, a reading that poses serious health risks to its millions of residents. Traffic police in Lahore inspected vehicles for smoke emission as part of curbing the smog. The Lahore High Court ordered the Punjab government to launch a rigorous campaign against smoke-emitting vehicles in the province in an effort to curb smog and air pollution. Local residents said authorities should comply with court orders as pollution was rising with smoke emissions. The Punjab government has taken various steps, including deploying anti-smog guns, spraying water to curb pollution, but it offers only temporary relief. Plain areas of Pakistan province of Punjab and prone to thick smog. Every winter is cold, heavy air traps construction dust, while emissions and smoke from agricultural fires.
Bersihkan penapis penghawa dingin dan tetapkan 24 darjah Celsius untuk lebih jimat.
Coming up in sports, last Gulf's equaliser snatches draw for Manchester United. Stay with us. Martin Zelait's 96-minute header snatched a point for Manchester United in a seesawing 2-2 draw at Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League on Saturday, after Richarlison thought he had won it for the hosts in the stoppage time. United's Brian Buemo scored with the first shot on target in the 32nd minute of what had been a flat contest, nodding Amad Diallo's clip ball to the back post for the summer signing 6th goal of the season. Spurs improved slightly after the break, but boss Thomas Frank's decisions to replace Xavi Simons with Matheus Tel with 10 minutes to play was booed by the home support. It was Tel, though, who equalised in the 84th minute before Richarlison gave Spurs the lead 7 minutes later by getting a fortunate touch on a Wilson Odobert shot. But Delight levelled at the death from Bruno Fernandes' corner to extend United's unbeaten run to 5 games and leave Spurs with a single home league win from 6 games this season. Both sides are on 18 points from 11 games, with Spurs third and United 7th on goals difference. Meanwhile, Manchester United head coach Ruben Amorim was in no mood to celebrate a dramatic end to a game and said his team ought to have seen it out more easily, particularly after giving away the lead in last Saturday's 2-2 draw at Nottingham Forest.
But if you look at the rest of the game, we were comfortable in the game, but I think we should do better. Be more aggressive, feeling the environment in the stadium, that the 3 points were there, the space was there, and I think we felt too comfortable during the game, and we need to expect that in one play anything can happen and change the mood of the stadium, and today was that. So I think we control well the game, but we need to do better because the game was there to take.
He accused his Manchester United players of being too comfortable before Tottenham Hotspur overturned his team's early lead. Arsenal's red-hot winning run came to a dramatic end early this morning as Brian Brobby's acrobatic stoppage-time equaliser earned Sunderland a 2-2 draw that gave Premier League title chasers Manchester City and Liverpool some relief. Sunderland defender Dan Ballard put the high-flying host in front in the 36th minute, the first time Arsenal's defence had been breached in 9 matches. But Mikel Arteta's team found another level in the second half to take charge, with captain Bukayo Saka firing home an equaliser in the 54th minute before Leandro Trossard cut in to smash an unstoppable shot past Robin Rolfs. Sunderland would not finish though, and Bobby showed great athleticism to volley past David Raya from close range. Arsenal now have 26 points as they extended the lead to 7 points over second-place Manchester City, who could close the gap at home to champions Liverpool on Sunday. Promoted Sunderland are third with 19 points after a dream start to the season for Regis Lebris' side. Al Nassr continued its unbeaten start to the Saudi Pro League with a 3-1 victory over Neom in Tabuk on Saturday. Despite a goalless scoreline at halftime, both sides had opportunities to take the lead, but it was a Cristiano Ronaldo free kick in the 46th minute of the match that broke the deadlock. His shot initially hitting the wall before falling to Angelo Gabriel, who was able to put one past Nome goalkeeper Luis Maximiano. Soon after, Neom's Luciano Rodriguez was shown a red card for violent conduct after he elbowed Nawaf Bushal in the face. Another penalty to Al Nassr for an Aboulay Ducour foul on Joao Felix inside the box then saw Ronaldo extend his side lead out to 2-0 before out of nowhere Ahmed Abdou pulled one back for Neom, falling a throw-in. Any chance of a comeback though was quickly extinguished by Felix, whose shot from distance secured the 3-1 victory to maintain Al Nassr's perfect start to the season.
And that settles it.
Elena Rybakina capped a flawless week at the WTA finals by stunning world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka 6-3, 7-6 in the final on Saturday for her first trophy in the season-ending championship and a record of $5.235 million in prize money. In a rematch of the 2023 Australian Open title clash won by Sabalenka, it was Rybakina who made early inroads with a barrage of powerful winners to shrug off concerns of a score shoulder and break for a 4-2 lead in the opening set. The high school world number 6 rallied from 15-40 down in the 7th game to tighten her hold and secure the set with more bold ball striking from both flanks, leaving 2022 finalist Sabalenka with a mountain to climb. Rybakina ramped up the pressure in the next set as she lost only 2 points in 4 services game. She then showed her battling qualities for a clutch hold in the 10th game when Sabalenka crashed a forehand into the net. Rybakina cranked up her massive serve to 2 games later and forced a tie-break, where the Kazakh grabbed the early lead and never looked back to secure the title. As the saying goes, age is just a number. Novak Djokovic proved just as that as he became the oldest champion on the ATP Tour when the 38-year-old fought back to beat Lorenzo Musetti 4-6, 6-3, 7-5 to win the Hellenic Championship on Saturday, lifting his 101st title on the ATP Tour. In a marathon encounter that lasted 1 minute shy of 3 hours between the top seeds, Djokovic dropped a set against Musetti on a hard court for the first time as the Italian battled to win the match and seal his place at the ATP Finals in Turin. However, Djokovic recovered to win the second set. The drama reached fever pitch in the decider when an exhausted Djokovic was broken serving for the title at 5-4. However, he rallied once again to break Musetti before finding his last reserve of energy to serve out the contest and eclipse Roger Federer by claiming a record 72nd hardcourt title.
Incredible battle. I don't know, 3 hours of just grueling match physically, super demanding. Lorenzo played really well. It could have been anybody's game, anybody's match. So congrats to him for amazing performance, and just very proud of myself to get through this one.
Djokovic is now 2 titles behind Federer in the ATP Tour's all-time list, while Jimmy Connors leads the way with 109. Djokovic was scheduled to next appear at the ATP Finals, but withdrew from the event Saturday, announcing in a social media post that he was suffering from an old injury. Still to come on our Offbeat segment, Lego builds mini MRIs to help children before scans. Danish toy maker Lego has been distributing thousands of miniature model MRI, magnetic resonance imaging Lego kits to hospitals around the world as part of efforts to reduce children's anxiety before scans. The kits include a miniature scanner, a bed, and a control room complete with staff figurines. Before the scan, medical professionals play through the process, which children being tested for illnesses sometimes need to be sedated or anesthetized for.
We do this in correspondence with the hospital's clowns, and they are very good at communicate with the children. So we play through the examination at the preparation, and the children get familiar with what's going to happen. and that empowers them throughout the examination, so they can do this MRI scan without any use of anesthesia.
Aarhus University Hospital in Western Denmark has been using the Lego set as part of their children-centered care project, which is looking at ways to make MRI scans less intimidating for children. The company said around 10,000 kits developed by Lego Group and the Lego Foundation have been distributed to hospitals since 2003, where they are used with other methods to try to put children at ease. Thousands packed the narrow streets of Ottery St. Mary early this week to witness a tradition of tar barrel rolling. Locals born and raised in the town in Devon carried flaming barrels of tar through crowds as part of a centuries-old custom handed down through generations. The town, which has a population of around 8,000, transformed into a festival atmosphere as around 20,000 visitors attended the event. Only residents of Ottery St. Mary with family links to the traditions are permitted to carry the barrels, with those who choose to take part starting as early as the age of 7. The barrels insides are coated with tar throughout the year before being filled with paper and straw to set them alight.
So it's a barrel which they tar throughout the year, literally build up the layers of tar, and then on the day they'll fill it with straw. That will then get lit, warmed up, and then the person that's chosen will pick it up, roll it as in carry it, not roll it as in on the floor, and then when it gets too hot or they've had enough, they'll pass it on to someone else.
The event started with the children's barrels and continued into the night as adults carried increasingly larger barrels until the final biggest barrel at midnight. UK startup Discycle is dissolving discarded tech using deep otatic solvent chemistry to pull out precious and critical metals at room temperature, an alternative to energy-hungry smelting. Discycle says the liquid known as deep eutatic solvents (DES) selectively dissolve metals from shredded circuit boards and other e-waste while leaving most non-metal components behind. The firm says the approach could cut energy use versus smelting and avoid some hazards linked to strong acids. This selective dissolution process allows for efficient recovery of metals, which can then be repurposed for new products. In collaboration with Gap Group Northeast, a leading UK electrical waste processor, Discycle is set to incorporate its technology into existing waste processing operations. The partnership, known as Gap Urban Metal Recoveries, aims to enhance the efficiency of metal recovery while significantly reducing the carbon footprint associated with conventional recycling methods. That's it from us this afternoon in our top story. Boat carrying nearly 100 undocumented migrants capsizes. Malaysia Tonight comes on at 8:30 p.m. this evening on TV1 and MyTV's Berita RTM news channel. Malaysia Madani, Rakyat, Disantuni. Thank you for watching.